Oh, snap. There it is. What's going on? Brian Arahan here. And we've got
Kier McGlory.
what's cooking, man. It's another conversation with the big real estate business talks. Kier, man, what's going on with you? How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. I can't complain. Had some good conversations with some great agents. Being able to share strategies and models and really hearing them out and seeing how we working together can help them with their businesses.
Yeah, man. I know you're talking to a lot of folks right now. I mean, what are you seeing out there?
In terms of like,
Just, I mean, what are agents feeling right now? How are they feeling about the business? I mean, what happened in the last week? You got the Fed. We got the Fed who's putting the hammer down on the housing market, increasing rates. So as it stands right now, what September 30th, 2022, the par rate today, what, seven and a quarter.
yes, absolutely,
Oh
yeah.
shoot.
So we've been experiencing that. And the thing is, too, when it comes to that interest rate, I mean, let's be honest. That 7.25 is a person that has an amazing credit score, normally over 700 plus.
Yeah.
They have a great history. Normally, they're putting down maybe close to 20%. So that's the picture perfect buyer that's getting that rate, right? So so when clients ask me about about interest rates and things like that, I always deter them to the lender, because the last thing I want, and for agents out there, last thing you want is for you to quote interest rates.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the interest rate right now is about 7.25. What I say is, hey, what? That's a great question. Let's talk to my lender. When is a good time for my lender to contact you? Because just because that may be the rate that you're seeing doesn't necessarily mean that's the rate that you're getting.
That's
right?
true. And that goes both ways.
Yes.
I definitely can go both ways on that. And so us being very clear about that, and talk to your lending professional, right?
Absolutely.
And so, what in the world, when you have, rates jumping the way that they are, that creates some confusion in the marketplace, right? Our founder Gary Keller says, when the market shifts, confusion follows.
Absolutely.
And is there a lot of confused people out there?
There are. that's very great. They are. There's a lot of confused people out there, and a lot of it has to do with the information. Where they're actually gathering the information. And are they getting the information on a local basis, or are they getting information on a national basis? And for the most part, most people are getting information on a national base.
Yeah, and it doesn't often apply to your market, and that's why we talk a lot about, hey, you've got to be the loudest person in the room wins today, even if you're wrong. Even if you're wrong,
man,
right? There's a lot of folks right now who are just wrong in general, know, and so the loudest person. So the question is, are you the loudest person in the room right now to your database, to the people that look up to you as their real estate champion? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And a lot of times, what we're seeing is agents start to go a little quiet around now.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, in a matter of a month, you're already going to be going into Halloween, and then after that, we have Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and things like that. So unfortunately, a lot of agents mentally check out, during this time. And what we know is, as Brian was saying, you got to be, that voice with your audience. You got to be that expert with your sphere of influence, people that know you, like you, and trust you. So you can't be quiet. You can't afford to be quiet right now.
Well, I was going another direction with that too. A lot of folks get quiet right now because they don't know what to do, right? They're also like, so what? I've never been in this market before, so I don't know what to do.
And good point about that, about never being in the market. Over 70% of the agents that are currently in business right now have never been through a shift.
Well, here, let's look at this. I got a screen here I'm going to share with us here, and it's very interesting when we put some perspective behind it on when we look at what's going on in the marketplace here. Look at the size per agent right now. These is from 1977 to 2001, and let's zoom in here. What happened in 2007? Arguably one of the best housing markets that we've seen. You look at NAR ads, 550,000 agents in that time, right? Because what's happening, and I'll share with you another chart on this. Everybody's saying, like, over the last couple of years, hey, the housing market is great. Prices are fantastic. They're going up. Commissions are going up.
Right.
People are looking at you on and looking at Bravo and Million Dollar Listing, right? Love It or List It. Whatever, all those real estate shows, especially in California, we're like, oh man, I'm in the wrong business. Let me jump into real estate.
Right.
And by the way, nothing wrong with that. I jumped into real estate around this time at the tail end of that. And when you look at that, NAR adds 550,000 agents during that time. And what happened to the average size, right? Size per agent. It goes from 13 and a half to 7.5 because you have more agents and you
Absolutely.
do deals.
They're taking more of the business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then after that, what happens in 08 to 2012? What occurred then?
We lost agents.
Right. The Great Recession
Absolutely.
put all these agents, by the way, the market shifts and most agents didn't know what to do. So we lost 330,000 agents within that just four-year period. Right. It took 7 years to add 550. It only took 3 years or 4 years to lose 330. Right. And then market shifts, prices start to go up. You get a little stimulation. You get COVID money in there. You got more agents jumping in. And so what happens to the average size per unit? Average agent size per unit goes down from 9.8 to 7.8.
And we added over 500,000
agents in that time. In just what 8 years?
Yes.
8 years, right? So now here's the thing. What's coming next?
We're going to start to see exodus. Agents leave the business.
People are going to be leaving this business. So our goal here is to offer strategies on how you're the one that's increasing your business, because the next chart that I'm going to share here is another important one about what we're explaining here. Because when we start to see what occurs in the marketplace, right, the available income, as we see here on this chart, actually what we're seeing here is the available income. When that starts to show, like, man, that's real estate's up, prices are up, commissions are up, the number of agents increase.
Correct.
And then what happens when the available income goes down, like the market shift, like we're experiencing right now, that income drops first and then the agent count drops.
Absolutely.
So what we're seeing that now in the second half of this year, the available income has dropped. We started the projections for 2022 were that we were going to sell anywhere between 5.9 to 6.1 million homes this year. That was a projection.
Right.
It's actually been projected, and I think it was like 5.1 is saying a whole million homes aren't going to be sold this year because of the market change. So a whole million homes, that's a lot of commission, not that agents aren't going to be able to have access to. A lot of lost income there. Now that's 5.1. That was before the previous rate hike, by the way.
Right.
Now other projections we're possibly seeing 4.8.
No, geez.
4.8 million homes sold. What? So when you see this now as an agent, if your activities aren't increasing right now to make up for you've got to talk to more people this year than you did last year to make the same amount of money.
Absolutely. And they're talking about not just doubling, they're talking about quadrupling
the
amount of people that you need to speak to make the same amount of income you're making.
And if you're not willing to do that, you're not going to be in the business very much longer because you just can't afford it.
Absolutely.
If you're not willing to talk to more people, you're not going to be in this business very much longer. Now, that's the doom and gloom segment of our conversation, right? So, Kier, coming to you, right? How in the world do we brighten this thing up? Now, by the way, before we leave this chart, you got to survive. You got to survive first, and then as the number of agents drop, then the biggest opportunity for an agent in a market shift is when the coast is cleared. You've increased your market share, and then when the income starts to go up, you're the one is owning that market share, not anyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. You charge the storm.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And so, you charge the storm. Yeah, absolutely. We run into the storm around here. We don't do that. Now, by the way, one more. Again, we can geek out on this all day. Yet, when you look at an example, right, building a fortress around your current business in the market that we currently are in right now, it might just be that as the market continues to move down, your number one priority is that you hold the line, right? You don't move backwards in your closed units. You don't move backwards in your gross commission income. Don't move backwards. because that is a gain. If you can come out in this market in and you didn't move backwards while the market. So again, we just talked about 6.1 million homes down to 4.8.
Right. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
if your business, and last year we did like 6.1. So if your business, you close the same amount of transactions this year as you did last year, and you do the same thing next year, while everyone else is doing less transactions, is that a win?
Absolutely, for sure. Well, you proved to yourself that you were able to double down on your lead generation. That's what it really comes down to, doubling down on your lead generation to be able to get the same results you got before. Or we're also seeing people do more transactions because they've been able to take advantage of what's going on with the market.
So if you can hold the line here in this chart as the market is going down, right? If you can hold the line and you see the chart here that says, the market's going down, yet you've held the line in your production. So you go from 20% of the market to 35% of the market share to 50% of the market share. And then when the market changes, right, and goes back up for the benefit, look how much now of the market you own because you're holding the line in your production. By the way, for those agents who leave the business, who's up for grabs?
Business,
right?
Clients,
business is up, exactly.
Up
so then if I sell your client a home versus you do, who are they most likely to call for the next one?
They're going to call the person I just did business
exactly with. And so if you're not around to do business with that client and somebody else does, and they offer them a great experience, that's the conversation that we're talking about here, is that you live to do business another day. You survive and then you thrive. So how in the world do we survive and then thrive in this market? So we're going to give you a quick model on how to do that with mega open houses. So Kier, I mean, when you approached the business back, when you were personally in production, what would you say were some of the key things that you did around open houses that helped you blow your business up?
Well, I mean, definitely getting out there in the neighborhood, knocking on doors, being able to create relationships with neighbors. Because for me, an open house door knock is one of the easiest door knocks you can do, right? I mean, you're not really there to say, hey, are you interested in selling your house? Or are you interested in buying? Do you know anyone? You're not saying that. It's more of an invitation, right? Like, hi, this is Kier McGlory with KW Vision. Want to invite you to my open house I am having this weekend on Saturday and Sunday from this time to this time. Can you come by? You go through the script, right? And for me, that was an easy way to get to know people. That was another way for people to get to know me. And I also had a reason to knock on the door, not just once, twice, 3 times, right? Because for me, when I knocked on their door and I invited to the open house, I would say, hey, you know what? I'm going to keep you updated about what's going on with this property. So all of a sudden now it's like when I come next time, like, oh yeah, so what happened with that house? You know what? Actually just went into escrow. You know what? We actually had 5 offers on the house. Have you thought about, selling your house? We can give you an offer. Do you know anyone? With open houses, it really gives you an opportunity to not just, get business at the open house, but it's really the activities around the open house that really gives you that opportunity to build your business.
Yeah, we have a model that we'll give our folks here. So when you reach out to us and you say, hey man, how do I get that model? We'll give you a sneak peek on it now. And reach out to us. We'll give you the exact play-by-play process. Now, the overall arching thought around this conversation is, number one, you want to eventify your open house, don't you?
Absolutely.
Right. So you want to make your open house an event. And you've got agents who just make this part of their business their main strategy on how they generate new opportunities. So when you're creating, so for instance, we know that our top agents get most of their business, 80% of the production, from anywhere from 3 to 5 sources.
Right, exactly.
And 2 to 3 of those are underneath kind of one source, which is your personal database, your sphere of influence, repeat, and referral business.
Absolutely.
Right. So that's 3 there. And then other top agents have 2 additional sources that help feed additional new business to their pipeline. And open house is a great way to do that, for you to also not just generate buyers, yet also generating sellers. So how much time would you say that is important for you to eventify your open house? Are you, all right, I'm gonna do an open house tomorrow?
No, you're not doing that. Absolutely not.
All right, you know what, Kier, I think I'm gonna do an open house today. I just saw this vacant home. I just got permission from the listing agent. I'm going to do an open house right now.
No, definitely not. You want to give yourself, I would say, at least a week.
Okay.
To really get to prepare for it. And the thing is, like I said, it's the activities around the open house,
Yeah.
like reaching out to neighbors, let them know about the open house. You know, reaching out to your database, letting them know about the open house. You know, one of the things I love about doing open houses is the fact that it has so many other elements to it where you can actually get business from. I mean, they say that if you strategically do an open house right, you should generate another 4 transactions if you do an open house right. And I'm talking about from marketing to your sphere of influence, marketing on social media, knocking on doors of the neighbors, you know what I mean? Letting the neighborhood know about that, putting out the right signs. All of these things that you do, you know, should generate at least 4 other transactions from it.
You know what's cool about open houses is it's kind of like walking onto a car lot, right? So when you go buy a car, I mean, it's very hard for you to jump into. Well, number one, you got to talk to a salesperson, right, before you buy a car, right?
Exactly.
You gotta, you're gonna go look at the car, you're gonna touch it, you're gonna feel it, you're gonna smell it, you're gonna hold the wheel, and then what happens next? Maybe you go for a test drive, right? You envision yourself in the kitchen, right? All right, and then over time, you're like, man, after I've driven it, I've seen it, I've smelt it, I've touched it, I've envisioned myself behind it. Like, what's the next conversation? Maybe you start thinking about how you can
afford it.
Exactly. Same thing. You it's very hard if you do an open house right, you have a lender on site.
Correct.
Right. You've got all your resources there. You can do calculations. Like it's your mobile office.
Yes, absolutely.
It's your mobile office. So then if you've set it up correctly and you've identified it, I'd rather you do one huge open house per month versus you do 19 open houses that are half-assed.
Right.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, I'm gonna go do an open house tomorrow. All right. I had an agent who called me up yesterday. And they want me to do an open house on Saturday. It's Friday. You called me. I'm gonna do an open house on Saturday. Don't do that.
Absolutely, it'd be a waste of your 3 or 4 hour day.
Absolutely, I'd rather you do one huge open house, right, versus doing a bunch of small half-assed ones. So one of the things that you mentioned is marketing time. So giving yourself, you said, at least a week.
Absolutely, for sure. I mean, obviously, like let's say start on Monday, Tuesday, right? I mean, that could be a time to start. I mean, for me, I like to give myself, more time, but if I don't have it, then hey, at least Monday, Tuesday, at least at that time, you're picking the house that you're going to do open house. At least Monday or Tuesday. But if you're getting to like Wednesday, Thursday, you still don't have a house, for me, I would just
call it a wrap.
Exactly. Call it a wrap.
Flag it in.
Take those hours on the weekend and make the calls.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Make the calls on the weekend.
Go get you. So you're saying by the latest your open house is set by no later than Tuesday.
Absolutely.
No later than Tuesday. And then now, okay, it's Tuesday, you've got your open house, then what are you doing?
So from there, once you have that open house, then that's when you're going to let your database, people that know you, like, and trust you, know that you have an open house. Now, I know some people think, well, here, everyone in my database is not looking to buy a house, not looking to sell a house. This isn't the house for them. They don't live here. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What you're doing is you're letting your sphere of influence, your people know that, hey, I'm in the business and I'm working. That's what you're doing. Don't think that, hey, I shouldn't have sent this out because they just bought a house. It's not about that. It's about, hey, you know what? I haven't heard from Brian in a while. Oh, wow. It looks like Brian's doing an open house. So he is doing that real estate thing.
Yeah, stay busy, stay working. Activity begets activity, and so your SOI knows, or your clients knows, your past clients know that you're working.
Absolutely, that's exactly what you want people to know, is that you're working.
Yep,
absolutely.
And so then now you've taken that, and you created your marketing pieces. You're sending it out to your database, and then you also mentioned going out to the neighborhood and doing some prospective prospecting there to set up the open house. So
absolutely.
What's that approach? Who are you talking to, and what are you talking about?
Yeah, so typically what you want to do is, if you have time, right, I would say not the whole neighborhood. I mean, that's just me, right? For me, it's like, hey, give yourself as many opportunities as you can, right, to get the word out. But if you don't have that time, you can door knock 15 houses on the left, 15 houses on the right, and 30 across the street, right? We call that Paul Revering, right? So you can do that.
We'll come back to that. Why the heck they call it that? Well, so now, okay, now I love that. So now you're going out there. You're hitting them by land, by air, by sea, right? So you're knocking the doors. if you have access to numbers, you're calling them,
Right.
You're,
Exactly.
and then you're inviting them out, and you're inviting out. And one of the things I think you mentioned is, could you invite the neighbors out ahead of time to give them maybe a sneak peek at the property
Absolutely.
if they haven't seen it yet?
For sure. So I mean, if you do have the opportunity to do that, I would definitely say not an hour. I know some agents do an hour. I would say an hour is kind of long. I would say 30 minutes,
Yep.
right? Give them 30 minutes to come and do a sneak preview of the house. And what's cool about it is that, if the neighbor is still in there, they're still talking, all of a sudden, like your guests come in, from
Yep.
your normal open house hours.
Yep.
All of a sudden they see other people in there, and it creates like a FOMO moment. You know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh, there's so many people here. Like, this must be a great house. Like, we need to buy it.
Yep.
Right. So the neighbors come in here. It's nice, obviously, because the neighbors feel special, because you're giving them, sneak preview of the house, number one. Number two, it also works to your benefit, because as people are coming in, it creates that, oh my gosh, this is the place you need to be, so it's a win-win situation.
And you're piling it up. So now, before that, obviously, you want to make sure that you have a ton of signs.
Yes,
right. Don't do an open house with 3 signs. It's a waste of time. Right now, some of our top agents are putting in between 20 to 40 signs out.
Absolutely.
Right.
For sure.
So if this is your number one strategy, is it worth it for you to put 20 to 40 signs out?
Absolutely.
Do it.
Absolutely.
Do it,
For
because
sure.
otherwise you're playing small. You're not in this business to play small, not in these times, and anything less is just a joke.
Absolutely.
If you're going to do an open house huge, go big and go yard and get as many signs. This is your excuse to get as many people, get your signs out in front of as many people as possible.
Absolutely, for sure. And you get to do that for free for a whole weekend.
Free advertising.
And speaking of the weekend thing, right? For me, like I always tell my agents, do the same open house both days. Okay?
Don't do one over here. Don't do one over there.
Yeah, exactly. And then also aim to do at least 2 days.
Okay.
At least Saturday and Sunday. You know what I mean? Like, because for me, I know, like, sometimes maybe Saturday may be a miss, but Sunday's a hit.
Yep.
Or Saturday is a hit, but Sunday's a miss, right? And not to mention, you usually have more energy. Usually the second day you're out because you're like, okay, I got to make this work. You know, like my first day didn't. You know what I mean? And also, like I said, the neighbors get to see your signs out more than once, and it naturally starts to create curiosity. So then you'll have neighbors come in. It's like, hey, I saw your sign out there, so I want to check it out. You know what I mean? So definitely, if you're doing open house, do the same open house, and also at least do it for 2 days, right? At least 2 days back to back.
Yeah, I love that. And then after that, capture as many stinking pieces of information as you can. So, we'll get into our next conversation. We'll go deeper on how to capture business from open houses, and then how you follow up, right? And how you go deep in the follow up. So that's a quick little teaser. We don't typically go long on these. And quick little teaser on how you get your open house started. How in the world do you market your open house? And then from there, get people there. Our next conversation is going to be how you capture, close, and connect with those people moving forward. Cool?
Absolutely. Yes.
All right. Nice work.
Nice work.
Yeah.